shirt, wizard shirt. Favorite shirt, wizard shirt. Favorite shirt, wizard shirt. Wizard shirt, favorite shirt. This wizard shirt is my favorite shirt. It's the Wind Wizard. Wind Wizard shirt. So my musical journey started off relatively boring, with me only listening to Bon Jovi and Green Day. Then, Guitar Hero Metallica got me into Metallica, and that's all I listened to. Until my dad's CD box got me into more metal bands. Guitar Hero Metallica then got me into another band, one of my favorite bands of all time, King Diamond. And after going to a Metallica concert, an Iron Maiden concert, and then a King Diamond concert, I was a pretty average metal fan. So after the King Diamond concert, there was this video that kept popping up in the recommendeds on YouTube. It was Riot City, Burn the Night. I clicked on it, and my ears were blasted with a modern metal band that sounded like something straight out of the 80s. This album I thought was a little overrated. Yeah, he sounds like Judas Priest, but you know how Judas Priest, like, screams high-pitched and it's badass? This dude just does it, like, 90% of the time, and it's very annoying, and I'm like, please go under the vocal range of a hamster? The channel that this album was on was called NWOTHM, or as I like to call, NWOTHM, and it stands for New Wave of Traditional Heavy Metal. Metal has fallen out of popularity in recent decades, so NWOTHM uploads and therefore popularizes various metal albums that would have otherwise fallen into obscurity. And still, yet, these albums sound obscure. There were some other cool bands on there, like Visigoth or Traveler, but I never saw anything that really caught my eye, caught my interest, and I was like, oh my god, this is amazing. Other than this album cover that had a minotaur thing looking off into the distance. A few years passed and I was thinking about this cow creature, but I couldn't think of the name of the album or the artist, and I couldn't find it. So I described the album cover in the comment section of NWOTHM's most recent video at that time and asked for people to find it for me, and they did. Marilus sounds raw. It doesn't sound like there was any post-production, which gives it a weird nostalgic flavor, like it was forgotten from a time not known to us. The name of this album and the artist comes from a spell in an old video game series called Sorcery, which the title track is based off of. My favorite album from NWOTHM is Eternal Champion's Armor of Ire. When I was listening to it one time, I was literally like, holy crap, that was 34 minutes? Like, it felt like 10. It gives off such a dreamy and majestic vibe, and a lot of the melodies in this album are beautiful. Each song is packed with, like, triumphant emotion. And there's this one melody in the title track that is dragged out for just as much time as it needs to be, and it's perfect. Midnight Priest, Aggressive Hauntings is an album in which the comment section kept saying, oh my god, this singer sounds like Rob Halford mixed with King Diamond. And I don't know if I would say that. But there are some really heavy and melodic songs on this album, and that organ intro was really cool. Ancient Empire, The Tower. This one is cool too. They also have like four or five other albums, but I really love the first three songs off this album, but the whole album's great. And the title track is based off of the Tower of Babel, so it's pretty cool. There was an EP from a band called Coolant that went unlisted, and it was called Under the Influence. It has 4 songs on it, and it really gives off like pre-Bruce Dickinson Iron Maiden vibes, especially with the song Crimson Killer. Beware of the Crimson Killer. Beware of the Crimson Killer. Then there's Lambs to the Slaughter, which is the best one off this album. It's amazing. It got stuck in my head for a while, and then it got stuck in my head once, and I was like, that's Lambs to the Slaughter. I haven't heard that song in a while. So it's a pretty good album, pretty good EP, and it got unlisted, which is odd. You flock like sheep, like lambs to the slaughter. Coffin Hunters, The Fire Knight. Other than the first song, which is cool, this guy screams, but like not in a good way. So the first song's good, but nah. The rest of the album, he just screams, but not in the good way. Dehumanizer, Army of Blind, I swear is a really solid album, but they have 2 songs on this album that sort of sound like Iron Maiden songs. No, it's like uncanny how much they sound like these Iron Maiden songs. One of a Kind sounds like Dance of Death. At the end of The Human Breath, there's a riff in it that's literally just Hallowed Be Thy Name. And then the beginning of Helix sounds a bit like Atlas Rise by Metallica. So this album copies a lot, but I swear it's a really, really solid album. Screamer, Highway of Heroes. This one's really great too. A lot of shorter songs, like 3 to 4 minutes long, and then it is a lot of songs. My favorite on it is the Rider of Death. It's riding all across the sky. Prepare to stand and fight or die. But then there's Tower of Babylon sounds like Satellite 15 by Iron Maiden. I don't know what's with these new bands and copying Iron Maiden. But this album, after I had already gotten into metal, I explored my dad's CD box again, and I had gotten into other genres. And my journey beyond the realms of metal included rap, classical music, weird Bandcamp stuff, and of course, hard rock. This led me to scour through Amazon and pick up these two albums, Led Zeppelin II and Dragon Force. These albums are only correlated by the fact that I purchased them in the same Amazon order. I was already aware of Led Zeppelin independently from the journey beyond the realms of metal. Duh. I heard the Immigrant Song, Kashmir, and the Amazing Stairway to Heaven. But I started listening to them from their first album around this time, and I was like, what? They made Good Times, Bad Times before Godsmack covered it? Mind blown. But I prefer Led Zeppelin 2 over Led Zeppelin 1 because there's more Led Zeppelin on this Led Zeppelin album that I like from Led Zeppelin. So there's more Led Zeppelin per Led Zeppelin on this Led Zeppelin album by Led Zeppelin called Led Zeppelin 2. It has Livin' Lovin' Maiden, my favorite Led Zeppelin song of all time, Heartbreaker. Now to explain this Dragon Force album, I need to explain that I really like Guitar Hero, like a lot. But I don't want to have to load up my Wii U repeatedly, hold down the B button to go into the Wii menu, and then repeatedly fiddle with the Wiimote. What if there was a version of Guitar Hero on the PC, completely free, in which I could get every official and fan-made Guitar Hero and Rock Band song for free, and play it with the Wii-tar I already have, except it broke so I had to buy another one, with the simple purchase of a Wii to USB adapter? Well, there is. Clone Hero has a lot of custom song packs, but the one in question is the Dragon Force discography set list, which has every single Dragon Force song on it, except from their last album, which was released after the setlist was created. Anyway, I was playing some of these songs on Clone Hero, and I found out, one, wow, these songs are really hard, and two, Dragon Force has a lot of good songs. Not just their famous Through the Fire and Flames, which made them popular in the first place by being the last song on Guitar Hero 3 Legends of Rock. See the connection now? Anyway, Dragon Force is another genre of metal I hadn't really explored yet called power metal. Unlike thrash metal, which makes you feel badass in an angry way, power metal makes you want to ride a freaking dragon with a flaming sword and conquer the entire continent of Westeros. Valley of the Damned is my favorite Dragon Force album, just because it has great song after great song. Speaking of great songs, the title track is my favorite song by Dragon Force. And the pre-chorus and chorus of this song, I swear to God, if a mother sang it sweetly to a child, it could be a lullaby. Like, this song is so beautiful, and then the outro solo, impeccable. This album also contains the amazing Blackfire. Why can't you see what they're doing to thee? Is it fair that you all die in vain? Right with the steel and the power of the sword. Stand up and fight now and forever. the beautiful Starfire. And the heavy Disciples of Babylon.
Can you imagine that it's all up to you? Evil embrace of powers are natural. You're left in silence, nothing more to behold. You close your eyes and visualize a day you'll get away. It's here, it's near, I see it all so clear.
And then it has a bonus DVD in it, which is really funny. It's full of a bunch of their shenanigans and including a live show. Most other Dragon Force songs actually sound very similar to one another, which is why some people classify Dragon Force as cheese pizza power metal. But there are some really good Dragon Force songs, such as Extreme Power Metal, which is a never-ending story. Two songs based off of Castlevania, Symphony of the Night and Curse of Darkness. There's Chemical Interference.
Tragic painting on the walls in this castle where all things remain. So many died in vain. Hear that distant cry. Never again. This is my symphony.
And they even did a cover of Ring of Fire by Johnny Cash. And then there's Evil Dead, which is a cover of a Death song. Death was a band I had only previously heard from my dad, who was saying how much he hated death metal. He said, yeah, they kind of started death metal, but I don't really like death metal. I don't really like death metal either. End of video. No. However, I had heard Crystal Mountain, which I loved other than the vocals, so I knew this band was a bit more than death metal. So I started listening to them from the beginning, and their first album was exactly everything I hated about death metal. Every song sounds the same, and there's vulgar lyrics thrown about in every song for no other reason than shock value, and it's retarded. Gradually, their discography got more and more technical, and their second album introduces the pattern that all later death songs would follow. Instead of going verse, chorus, solo, verse, chorus, it goes verse, chorus, solo, bridge, whatever, and then it repeats the first verse and chorus. So it's really interesting, because it kind of loops back around when it does everything it needs to do. It loops back around and starts the song over, basically, and then ends after the chorus. So it's pretty interesting. But every song does that. So it's unique for metal as a whole, but not unique for death, which is weird. Because the main man of Death, Chuck Schuldiner, changed his lineup a million times, in his fifth album, he has Andy LaRocque from King Diamond on guitar. What? the 6th album, he has a completely new lineup, and it sounds unlike anything I've ever heard before. I hate death metal vocals, like with a burning passion, so when I ignored the fact that Chuck Schuldiner sounds like a growling dog, I started to really love this album. It's dark, emphatic, emotional, depressing, amazing. One of my favorite albums of all time. But the 6th album is where you started to see Chuck Schuldiner wanting to get away from death metal. And I tried to get into other death metal bands like Cannibal Corpse, Dicide, and Morbid Angel, but none of them did it for me. It was just the same death metal, growling vocals, blast beats for no reason. It's just, I didn't really like it. Other than this one band called Atheist, who's actually in the same subgenre as death, called technical death metal, or tech death for short. And the album I listened to by Atheist was called Unquestionable Presence, which is ironic. It's a very ironic title. So yeah, Chuck Schuldiner wanted to be different, so he made death metal, and then everyone was copying him, so he once again wanted to be different. What he really wanted to change in his death metal was to be more progressive. What is progressive metal, you ask? I was asking the same question when I came across a song on Clone Hero called In the Deepest of Waters by Andromeda. When I started playing it, it started out really heavy, and then the riff didn't go the way I thought it was going to go. It looped back around and started over, and that's how the riff went, and I was like, that's really interesting. And then it decides to do this. I found out that the band that made that song was called Andromeda, and on that same album, their first album, they had another song called Chameleon Carnival, which is amazing. And this first album of theirs really sounds like Star Trek metal. Like it's like you're on a Star Trek voyage to the galaxy of Andromeda. Like it's like space metal. It's like a new genre. And the genre was progressive metal. And I had heard that word before, but I guess we'll have to wait until next video to find out what progressive metal is and let everything come full circle. Circle. Apparently Ku Klux Klan stands for circle, circle. Like,